Now you mentioned about, your lifestyle was very different compared to a lot of others. Now, in regards to like shift work, the amount of hours that you worked, how many days that you had to work, could you paint a picture of what that looked like? So now we have to understand, how were you able to navigate that shift work or the amount of hours that you had to work? Can you paint us a picture so the listeners and viewers have a better idea of what your work schedule or your commitments on top of that look like? What did you have to overcome?
The one thing I had to overcome firstly is my excuse. So that's like the number one thing. I couldn't tell myself, I couldn't give myself the excuse saying that oh, this is what I have. It's like more like, you know what, these are the cards I have and I'm going to deal with this. That's how I looked at it. So I was like, okay, I have this much amount of time, so like there are some weekends that I worked and some weekends I do not work. So let's just say I'm working, let's just say, for example, it's a Sunday, I'm off that Sunday and I'm working a Monday and a Tuesday. So that's like, let's say I'm working on a day shift on a Monday and a Tuesday. So I usually, meal prep on a Sunday. So I think I followed your advice itself. You can either pick 2 days a week to meal prep and figure
Correct.
out some time over there. And, at least at the most spend an hour or two, which is, I think, a decent amount. So I would grocery shop on Sunday, sometimes Saturdays, it depends on my availability. And I would make sure that no matter what, I meal prep on a specific day, which was Sunday. That was the best day for me because I wouldn't train on that day, regardless whether I work or not. I definitely, even if I'm working on a Sunday, whether it's a morning or a daytime, I have decent amount of hours to meal prep. So I had to make sure that I had a window where this time was there too for meal planning, because like I said, nutrition is the only thing that's going to set you off your path. And for me, that was very important because during the week, it's very difficult for me to prepare something just because the amount of time, and I don't, I'm working out, I'm, either studying or working, and, there's a lot of other things that I had. So I made sure I prepared my meals ahead of time. I grocery shopped everything that I needed, what was on that list which you had, made sure that it was in the fridge, made sure that I was top notch on all of that stuff. So always prepare ahead of time. Do not do anything at the last minute because that's just going to set you. So that was my thing. And so I prepared the meals, I put them in like food bags, and I had to freeze some of my meals as well. um, and what it would look like is like, obviously you wake up in the morning, you have to wake up a little earlier to do your cardio. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to wake up early to do my cardio. So I would either do it during my lunchtime or do it at some other time
So
or on another day.
I'd
So
like to
that
know
was a little.
what are the hours that you would generally wake up and go to sleep, and what are the hours that you have to work? So people have an understand when you're saying shift work, and is that like on weekends as well? How did it look like?
6:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening.
12-hour
So
shift.
I had to wake up 12-hour shift. So I had to wake up at least at around 5 or at least 5:15 at the latest, to be able to, have my breakfast or work out so that I had enough time to prepare. The fortunate thing I would say is that I was working from home. So I
Mhm.
didn't have the time to commute and everything. But even if I had the commute time, I would have to wake up earlier, whatever, I would have to still do it because you kind of have to do what you have to do. Because I entered this knowing that I would probably be going to work sometime soon, but that just never happened. And I was like, okay, fine, and that's just more time for me. So I, wake up around 5 a.m. I'd say my prayers and everything, just get some time for myself, and I would just immediately hop onto the cardio machine. I have a treadmill at home, but even if like you don't have a treadmill at home, I think there was another thing that you recommended, which was like a 20-minute cardio um, hit workout. So I would do that sometimes because sometimes just walking on the treadmill early in the morning was not getting it. So I had to get something. I just wanted to get my heart rate up. And then followed by that, I'd shower everything and I would have my breakfast. I would have my oatmeal and then just get to work and log into the computer and start.
So then you'd work
So
6 in the morning, six
and
thirty in the morning till 6:30 in the evening. And how many days would you work those hours before then you'd have to change? And then what hours would you change on your shift?
Okay, so this is how it works. So let's start from a Monday. So let's say I'm working Monday. I work. Monday 6:30 to 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening. Tuesday 6:30 in the morning and 6:30 in the evening. And then Wednesday, Thursday, I'm off. And then
That's your weekend.
Friday night, and then the Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night I work.
And
Right.
that's
So that's
from
like the first.
6:30. Is that from 6:30 in the evening then?
Yes, 6:30 in the evening to 6:30 in the morning.
Wow. Okay.
So it changes. It changes. All right. And then so let's just say that's throughout the weekend, and then on Sunday night, 6:30 in the evening until Monday morning, 6:30 in the morning. That's my last shift, and then I sleep until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I wake up, and then so that Monday I'm off, and the Tuesday I'm off, and then Wednesday, Thursday I work again. It's a day shift that now it's switched because I worked the previous shift was night. Now it's days, and then I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I'm off. So it's like a whole 3-day weekend.
Got it.
So it alternates. So I have like a 50-hour week and I have a 37-hour week.
Right. I was going to say, one of the advantages to that, I guess, is that on the weekends, occasionally you can be antisocial, so you don't get encouraged to go out and party or something like that. But
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it did help. It did help.
Yeah, but that's a struggle, because I have several people that, that have contacted me before and said, "Oh, I'd like to do something like that, but I can't. I work shift work." But you can. You just have to plan in advance, when you train, when you sleep, when you're going to get your meals, when you're going to food prep. Obviously, it just comes down to preparation is key. And as I always say, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. But it all comes down to how bad you want it. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way of doing it and achieving it. So going through this transformation, which, I've shown the pictures at the beginning, you can see it's absolutely phenomenal transformation.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't all easy, it's definitely difficult. There's parts of it that are a little bit more challenging than others. What did you find were your biggest challenges of doing this transformation?
The biggest challenges for me, obviously, craving for sweets. I mean, I don't know how I did this firstly, but I gave up ice cream for like a good 6 months, which is something was very difficult for me to do. Everyone knows me as someone who finishes a tub of ice cream in like less than 2 days. And now that I was on this, I was not doing that, and it was kind of weird for me too. But I mean, you can at some point you get used to it. So, but I think the sugar craving was something that I had a lot of challenges with, and I think I should keep emailing that to you as well. And then there were always, I think the casein helped, or just having a lot of fiber, like veggies, it did help. I think getting the right amount of sleep was challenging for me. Because sometimes, especially when you're working a night shift and you're looking at a screen, and to get a good 7 hours sleep, quality sleep, is very difficult following that night. And that's just something that you have to just it was not always easy. There were some days I did get good sleep, and some days I wouldn't. So usually I would measure that using my Fitbit. So it tells me like, okay, you're even if I had like a 7 hour sleep, my D sleep was bad, my REM was bad, then I wouldn't feel like training after that, So so those days I would be like, okay, let's take this as a rest day, and then I'll just train some other day when I'm off. So sleep was definitely challenging for me.
Thank you ever so much for listening. My name is Kris Gethin, and I am out.